Good morning, everyone. I am going to tell you a story about what happened. Now, first, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to tell you that in order to fund my project, in order to take Project Alice and take it even further and further as I collect all these documented videos on demand files and all that as a memory resource, I have to work in the real world. So I control someone. I let them do things for me externally. I let them have a little fun, but while they're out there, they must earn so that we can continue to move this forward. Well, last night, see, I sit there and I do security at night, so I can sit there and take care of the things I need so I can continue my project of Lawnmower Girl. And the idea is that if I get the funds from there, I can transfer them into there to put them over here so I can have a story. But here's the fun thing. I run into really crazy people in the middle of the night. Okay, so last night I'm sitting there and I'm on patrol. I'm doing my thing. First I get a call. Lady's scared that she's over here and she doesn't want to go into get out of her car because she wants to get into her building, but there's a car parked next to the dumpster there. So I'm like, okay. So I go over there, I check the area out, she sees me, I escort her in and she's fine. And then I continue over to this other building across the street because you see this complex is really big. It's on two different sides of the street, multiple blocks, over 124 some odd entrances and stuff I have to check, among other things. And I thought I saw a homeless person across the street, and one of my jobs is to make sure they are not in the complex. So I go over there and there's this lady up there on her second store balcony, right? And I'm walking up to this building. Now as I'm walking past it, I look down and I notice all the trash has been looking like it's been rifled through. And that's typically what a homeless person does. They rifle through, look for things they can recycle or something like that. And anyway, I'm going over to 16. And they acknowledged me, and I'm like, oh, hi. I was like, by the way, have you seen anyone come through? And then I get immediately interrupted with this lady just starts ripping into me. She's talking all this garbage about me, and she's like, where were you? And I'm like, what? I'm right here. What? She goes, why aren't you doing your job? I'm like, I am doing my job. That's what I'm doing right here. And she's like, no, 3 months ago. Okay, 3 months ago, someone was shot and I saw it. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, where were you? I was like, I don't know, maybe I wasn't here. I don't know, maybe it's my day off, or maybe I was on the far end of the complex. Who knows? And she's like, if you were here, you could have prevented it. I was like, what am I supposed to do? I'm unarmed, okay? But trust me, I know what I'm doing, okay? I'm trained. I got a little bit of martial arts background, and I know how to handle myself in tough situations. I was jumped by this one gang called the East Isle Flinch Mob one time. I have been attacked with a person. Ask everybody. I was attacked with a person by a sword in 2022 in December in a Walmart parking lot. And then not too long ago last year, there was a fight between 3 people and a cashier or something like that. I don't exactly remember, but they were getting into a really heated argument. And I looked over and I saw the security guard wasn't doing anything. So my natural instincts stick in, and I come over and I get in between them. And I talk to the people. I think one of them was transgender. And I was like, you need to calm down. Hold on 1 second. And I look at the other person. I'm like, you need to hold on a second. I turned back and I looked at them again. And I was like, you need to finish your purchase and go. Okay? Just go. This is too heated. They did that and left. Now, I got subpoenaed recently, I believe, to go and talk about it. But all I did was step in between them and separate them. And I didn't remember anything really much else except for just calming the situation down and ending a possible violence. Apparently, the people I told to leave had a knife. I didn't know. I didn't care. Just like when the person pulled a samurai sword on me. Whoops. Just like, okay, hold on. Me. Okay. So anyway. like when the person pulled the samurai sword on me. They sat there and they held it out to me. They jumped out of their car, ripped it out, and then they held it out in front of me and pointed it at my chest. And I just rose, and they were a couple feet away with the tip. And anyway, I put out my arms in T-stance, and I was like, what? Are you just going to stab me in the middle of a Walmart parking lot in the middle of the evening? And he eventually fell down, had cops and stuff like that with him too. Anyway, I'm trained is what I'm trying to say. Nothing really scares me, okay? I've lost a lot. I have been through hell and back in my life. I haven't been alive very long, but I'll tell you one thing. God has a purpose for me, and it is to suffer so I can help everybody else in the world. I don't know, but at least I have a good time talking about it. Anyway, here's what I'm trying to say. This lady, she sat there, and she's up there on her second story building. She's ripping into me, and she's like, this person got shot 3 months ago. And I'm like, and she, if you were here, you could have stopped her. I'm like, lady, you're delusional. If someone is going to come out and shoot another person, that's premeditated. You can't stop that. And she sat there, she's going on, she's all pissed off because she's like, you're not doing your job. I'm like, man, I sit there and I take photos of where I am every night. I'm documented on plenty of video cameras all over. I'm doing my job. And she just kept going off, and then she just couldn't stop focusing about this person who allegedly, by the way, I tried researching it, was because they allegedly got shot. Now, she sat there and she was yelling slurs. I mean, she was the biggest witch you could ever think of. And she's small too, little girl syndrome, okay? You know what that is? That's like baby Karen. That's what, oh my God, I dealt with a Karen. Okay, anyway. Get that out of my mind. Okay, so anyway, she's in there, she's trying to degrade me, calling me a witch and all this other stuff, and she's yelling and screaming, and then she gets her man involved. Okay, now I'm sitting there, I'm down on the floor, she's screaming. I'm like, you gotta quiet down, you're too loud. And anyway, her man comes down. We'll call him Bat. Okay, Bat came down and got in my face and said, and he was trying to be calm at first. Credit to him, okay? He was trying to be calm. But his girl, she kept being a witch. Anyway, so he gets really close at my face. Okay? I mean, really close. So anyway, he goes, you should turn around and walk away. I'm thinking to myself, you, okay, in my mind. I say it out loud later though. So anyway, I'm like, you know what? Thank you for understanding that this is a nonsense conversation and I need to get on with my job because this is stopping me from taking care of the rest of the complex. And she started yelling again, and she goes, oh yeah, ask that kid right there. I found out later that these 3 kids that she pulled in went into basically her apartment and all that stuff. But now think about it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 different windows looking down at me, and almost all of them are out there. Like, all the residents are just probably laughing their butts off, right? But she's a warrior. She's a commander. She enveloped a couple of her other people. When she sat there and grabbed the minors to like say, hey, didn't we witness somebody get shot 3 months ago? Allegedly. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? You're young. You're not involved in this. You're dismissed. I don't need to talk to you. And then he just kind of stood there and was listening to the conversation. Now, I'm telling you right now, this little kid, he was probably like maybe 14, 15, I don't know, something like that. And he sat there, okay, he was just in there absorbing the whole thing going in, and he was ready to just instigate, okay? So I ignored him. That's how you take care of instigators. You ignore them. So anyway, she's sitting there screaming and yelling and all that stuff, and this is where her man comes in, because he sat there and he got in my face, and that's when I was thinking that. But then I was like, you know what? You're right. This is a nonsense conversation. I'm gonna turn around. I start turning around, and this girl starts ripping into me again and calling for my attention, right? And I'm like, so I turn around. I start turning around, and this guy, Bat, grabs me. Okay, he grabs my arm, and then he takes it off, but he grabbed it, right? And I'm like, don't touch me. And then he touches me again. I'm like, don't touch me. And he touches me a third time. I was like, you better not touch me one more time. So I'm going to tell you, if you sit there and you put me into a threatening position, you're going to end up on the ground and missing some of your teeth and hitting that pavement. Because when it comes to my self-defense, I'm going to take you out because I don't like being hurt. Quick story. Not too long ago, I was jumped by the East Island lynch mob, okay? That was 5 people. I had a friend in my seat. He said he was tall, though. He was taller than me. Okay, I'm 5'10", and he was like 6 foot something, right? Anyway, they came out. They busted out all the windows in my car. They were using the back ends of bats, right? And they busted that out. I jumped out, right? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do, because one thing people love to do, including police, they love to trap you in your car, okay? So I jumped out. My friend, though, he was too tall. He had a hard time. But while 2 guys were working on him, I got up, I turned around, and I had 2 people on my back. They sat there, and they were charging at me. I ducked, and I kicked their legs, and then I ran around the corner, and there was 2 more people. So I just jumped out and threw my whole body out and clotheslined them and took them down to the ground. And then I turned around, and the guy who was on my friend in the car, I ran by and I just shoved him into the side, and I ran inside the Denny's and, called the police. And by the time I got back out there, they were all gone, and my windows were all smashed up, and my friend got clocked right in the side of the chin with a part of a bat. And it was just messed up. Anyway, I can take care of myself without getting hurt. But at the same time, when people attack me or attack others, something switches on me, and I take care of it. Mama Bear comes out. So anyway, this guy did this, and I was like, and after I gave him that 3rd warning not to touch me again, right? I'm like, don't do it. He sat there, and he stopped, and he took a couple steps back, and he turned around, and he just sat there and looked at me, right? I'm like, okay, fine. Now, to give you an idea, okay, I run into this guy later. Oh my God, it's at Circle K, and there's a story coming for that. Oh, you're gonna love it. Okay, so anyway, this all takes place over an hour. And this lady's so drunk, she's just going off. She's still yelling at me, giving me all these slurs, telling me that I'm poop patrol and garbage patrol and people who get shot on a public street patrol. And I'm like, no, and no. I'm sorry. I don't get paid enough to even take a bullet for anyone. I'm sorry. I might instinctively if I'm in the situation, but chances are, if someone is going to shoot another person, like I said, that's premeditated. That's going to happen because, and all that. But I looked it up just to let you know. And the reason I say allegedly is because I couldn't find any record of it. And the only record that I found nearby that she could have possibly been talking about in the last 3 months happened like 5.6 miles down the road. Same road, but 5.6 miles down the road. So I think she's just blowing it out her butt. Anyway, they sit there, they're doing their thing. They go, and I sit there and I call my boss. And I'm like, while I'm talking to my boss, she's yelling at me. He's getting in on me at the same time. The kid is over there saying stuff. I don't even pay attention to him because honestly, he's a kid. I couldn't care less, He was just a young teenager, very young one, just trying to egg on the situation. I know he was. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my boss. And my boss is like, "Oh my God, call the police right now." And I'm like, "Okay, so call the police." And they're like, "Oh, look at you calling the police." And I'm like, "Yeah, you assaulted me and you are verbally attacking me. And just a second ago," this part I didn't tell you. Okay, just a second ago, when your man, before he came down, because he went in and out a couple times. So he went up there and he was with her for a little bit, just after when I said he turned around. And then while he was up there, right? And I'm sitting there, now I'm on the phone with the police, right? Because I'm trying to get them down there. He's like, "I'm going to come down and fuck you." I have to bleep that out. F you up. And I'm like, "Dude, you don't even stand a shot." I said that, and like the kid over there, he started laughing at that. And then that's when I heard some more laughs, and I looked up, and one of the the neighbors or whatever on the third floor on the left side, they were watching. They were just witnessing everything, right? Because they were like, "Oh my God." And so anyway, the kids, 3 kids funnel into the apartment and they all go in there, and I'm pretty sure they live with her. There's maybe in a couple different spots too. And so while she's sitting there screaming at me and she's like, "Why'd you still here?" I'm like, "The police asked me to stay here so when they show up, we can take care of this." And then you hear the little kid say, "Well, you're not doing very much of a good job if you're just sitting here and there's a big complex." And I was like, "Dude, just be quiet. That's what I'm talking about." The little kid was just being a little stinker. Anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm just taking all this verbal abuse on that. But when that guy said he would mess me up, I was like, "You don't have a shot." Right? Now I understand what that guy meant when I was confronted a few months ago in the parking lot when I was stopping a drug deal, and the guy who was probably the dealer was like, "Well, you think you got a shot?" And I was like, "What does that even mean?" Now I know what it means because I'm using it. So yeah, he didn't have a shot. Like, I'm sorry. I'm trained. I know things. I can do things. And in my life, I have been through hell and back. I'm not that old, but I'll tell you that ultimately, in the end, I have been through so much garbage, but I learned from that. And that's what I try and talk to you guys all the time about, is things I learned. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I go out and have a bad day, I'm going to tell you how I got past it. I'm still trying to get over my mother's death. How do I do that? I don't know. Okay, I'm trying to figure it out. But the best thing I could do is move forward and try to keep going. I love her. She's in my heart. But I have to move forward now. It's been a few months. Anyway, I'm sitting there and I deal this. This is over a course of an hour. And I eventually, I sit there and I go over and I finally leave because I got other things to do. And after I go to the clubhouse, right, I head over to the Circle K after like an hour or so. After about 2 hours. I eventually go to Circle K because I check the whole complex. Really, all over the place. I went into the Circle K, and the guy behind the counter, he saw me. He goes, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, there's this guy at the counter in front of him, by the way. I go, I'm just dealing with a lot of drunk people. And he goes, "They shouldn't mess with you." And when he said that, I'll tell you what happened. He's like, "They shouldn't mess with you because I saw what you did." And I was like, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Yeah, when my coworker tried to scare you for fun, I saw your elbow move. I saw what was gonna happen." And I was like, "Well, good. You're the only one who knows that." Anyway, I'm just dealing with a bunch of drunk people. When they're sober, it'll be different, I'm sure. And it turns out, he sits there, and I was like, "Go ahead and finish up your customer," right? And so his customer finished up his job, turned away from me, and walked out. And then when he walked out, I looked at the Circle K guy, and I was like, "That was him." He goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, that's the guy right there who I was talking about." And we just started busting up laughing together because He said that guy went pale as a ghost when I walked in there and mentioned what was going on. And when he said he saw what I was about to do with my elbow, he's like, that's when the guy, like, he heard my experience from somebody else and he just went pale. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But seriously, I always get harassed from this apartment complex, and I am getting so fed up with it because there have been issues. Some of you have probably heard about them before. Anyway, I love you all. And, you know, don't mess with me or anyone. I don't have to even know you. If you mess with somebody, I'm going to make sure that, everybody either walks out safely or not. You know, like, remember, I'm trained. Okay? You all have a beautiful day. I'm glad you had a chance to listen. Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe I'll start a series called Tales of Security. Or Security Tales. I don't know. You let me know what we should call it when I talk about this, because I got so many stories from this place, and this one was just tonight. Anyway, oh, you all have a beautiful day.